Hi, second grade. Today we're thinking about the focus question. How are transportation systems in each community similar and how are they different? Remember last time that we talked about what transportation means, a way to get from one place to another. And we're going to look at how that works in different types of communities that we're learning about. Rural, suburban, and last time we learned about urban, how we got around in an urban community like New York City. Today we're going to learn about rural and suburban. A suburban community. Have you ever been to a town just outside the city where the houses are not as tall as city skyscrapers, but not as spread out as a rural community? If you have, then you may have been to a suburban community before. A suburban community is usually located close to a city. They have fewer people than an urban community, but many more than a rural community. Houses are often in neighborhoods that are close together. There's still space for a yard and sometimes a sidewalk. So let's think about how people in a suburban community get around. So in a suburban community, people often drive. Many people use cars. But sometimes they take the bus, bike, walk, or take the train, like the Long Island Railroad, which is a commuter train that takes them from the suburbs to the city. Sometimes there's also buses that can take you from the suburbs to the city, to go to work or to do other activities because the two communities are very close. Now let's look at rural community. A rural community. Have you ever been to a farm? Farms are found in rural communities. A rural community is a place with a lot of land, natural resources, and space. It usually has fewer people living there, and there's a lot of open space between the houses where people live. The buildings in a rural community are often large and very spread out from each other. So let's think about, how do people get around in rural communities? In a rural community, people mostly drive. That's kind of similar to a suburban community. So there's lots and lots of space in a rural community. They also use motorcycles to get around. Well, a lot of people like to drive their motorcycles around in the mountains or other rural areas. It's also sometimes used trucks because some of the roads in rural communities are dirt and you need big trucks that are able to go down dirt roads. And also because rural communities have lots of farms, people use tractors to get around on their farm and to go different places in their farm and use them to plow their fields and help them take care of the land. So let's review the different types of transportation that each community used. We had rural, cars, motorcycles, tractors, and trucks. Suburban, cars, walking, biking, buses, and commuter trains. And the last one is urban. Cars, walking, biking, buses, subway trains, taxis, and ferries. The urban has the most types of transportation because it needs all different kinds of options to move all the people around in a big city. All right, second grade. I hope now you can see all the different types of transportation that different types of communities use. I'll see you next time.